Biden signs $40 billion Ukraine aid bill, Russia stops shipping natural gas to Finland. President Biden on Saturday signed a $40 billion package of new military and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine, further deepening his administration's commitment amid signs that the United States and its allies are preparing. The package includes $20 billion in additional military aid to finance the transfer of advanced weapons systems, aid that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said was needed more than ever. Russia is continuing intense shelling of the easternmost city under Ukraine's control, Severodonetsk, which looks set to be the war's next major battlefield, with fighting underway on the city's outskirts. Luhansk Governor Serhiy Haidai said that the Russians are destroying Severodonetsk, like Mariupol. 6 civilians were killed Friday during Russian bombardments, he said. The assault comes as Russia claims full control of the Azovstal steel plant, the sprawling complex that had been the final battleground for control of Mariupol. Russia's defense ministry said 2,439 Ukrainian fighters there have surrendered in recent days, a figure that drastically exceeds other estimates. Ukraine has not confirmed Moscow's claims that the entire facility is now in Russian hands. Outside Ukraine, the war's far-reaching diplomatic and economic impacts continue to be felt. Finland's gas transmission network operator said Saturday that Russia had stopped shipping natural gas to it. The suspension is widely viewed as retaliation after Helsinki formally applied to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Here's what else to know. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan spoke with the leaders of Finland and Sweden to reiterate his demands that they end support for what he deems terrorist organizations as the Nordic nations seek to join. Russia has permanently banned 963 Americans, including Biden and Vice President Harris, from entering the country. The list includes a wide range of people, from political leaders and tech executives to actor Morgan Freeman. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations expressed alarm about the global food crisis, exacerbated by Russia's blockade of Ukrainian ports, as a Ukrainian official said his nation had established 2 land routes for exporting food. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin will host a virtual meeting Monday for more than 40 countries supporting Ukraine. Another gathering took place in April, and the Pentagon may make the meeting a monthly affair. The Washington Post has lifted its paywall for readers in Russia and Ukraine. Russia claims its missiles destroyed U.S. supplied weapons to Ukraine. Russia claimed that high-precision missiles on Saturday destroyed a large number of weapons that were supplied to Ukraine by the United States and European countries. Major General Igor Konashenkov of the Russian Defense Ministry said in a news release that long-range caliber cruise missiles struck a supply of weapons in northwestern Ukraine. High-precision long-range sea-based missiles in the area of the Malin railway station in the Zhytomyr region destroyed a large batch of weapons and military equipment delivered from the United States and European countries for the grouping of Ukrainian troops in Donbas, Konashenkov said. According to the state media, a Pentagon spokesperson told the Washington Post that the United States had no comment on Russia's claim. The U.S. does not control weapons once they are given to Ukraine, the spokesperson said. We have no further information on this Russian claim. The United States continues to send billions of dollars in military equipment to Ukraine, including heavy artillery, drones and anti-tank. President Biden on Saturday signed a $40 billion package of new military and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. Konashenkov also claimed that cruise missiles destroyed facilities at the Odessa port plant that stored fuel for Ukrainian armored vehicles, according to state media. The Washington Post has not independently verified Russia's claims. Kharkiv region residents are burying abandoned Russian soldiers, police say. Residents in the Kharkiv region buried the bodies of several abandoned Russian soldiers, including a senior officer, because it was the right thing to do, according to a police of Sergei Bolvanov, head of the investigative department of the GUNP in the Kharkiv region, wrote in a Facebook post Saturday that police had received reports in the Zolochiv district that graves have been found on various streets without any signs, except homemade cross. When authorities followed up on the reports, they found 6 bodies, all dressed in uniforms of the Russian Federation, Bolvanov wrote. One of them was identified by the police official as a senior officer, Russian Lieutenant Colonel V.S. Gerasimov. We had to uncover these graves to identify persons in them and transfer their bodies, in accordance with international procedures, he wrote. The Russians are not interested in recovering their dead. Bolvanov wrote that when authorities questioned local residents about the buried Russian soldiers in their district, we learned that they buried the bodies themselves, because it was the Orthodox. Our people are invincible, he wrote alongside photos of the makeshift graves. Russia has not yet commented on whether Gerasimov was killed in a ban. Ukraine establishes routes to export food amid crisis, official says. Ukraine has established 2 land routes to export food from the embattled country as officials sound alarms about a dire shortage of global food supplies. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba blamed Russia for blocking exports from Ukrainian ports and said the new routes were meant to save residents of Africa and other regions from hunger. He did not provide details about the location of the routes or whether Moscow had agreed not to attack them. Russia must end its blockade to allow full and free export, Kuleba wrote on Twitter. The chief executive of Grow Intelligence, which forecasts food supply, warned the United Nations Security Council on Thursday that only 10 weeks' worth of wheat is available in inventories worldwide. About 30% of the world's wheat used to come from Ukraine and Russia, according to the World Food Programme. The 2 countries were also major exporters of sunflower oil. It is important to note that the lowest grain inventory levels the world has ever seen are now occurring while access to fertilizers is highly constrained, and drought in wheat-growing regions around the world is the most extreme it's been in over 20 years, the CEO, Sarah Mink in Security Council. Sanctions have practically broken Russia's logistics, official says. The sanctions against Russia have caused the country's transport and shipping logistics to be practically broken, according to Russia's transport ministry. Russian Transport Minister Vitaly Savelyev, according to Interfax, told reporters Saturday that sanctions placed on the country because of the invasion of Ukraine have affected transport and shipping routes along the international north-south Savelyev said the sanctions, which have taken a toll on the ports of Olia, Astrakhan, and Makhachkala, have severely damaged the country's logistics to the point where officials are scrambling to find alternatives. Those sanctions that were imposed today on the Russian Federation have practically broken all the logistics in our country, Savelyev said, according to Interfax. And we are forced to look for new logistics corridors. The ministry recently offered to help businesses rebuild their logistics systems. Turkey demands Sweden, Finland cut support for terrorist groups. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan spoke with the leaders of Finland and Sweden on Saturday to reiterate his demands that they end support for what he deems terrorist organizations as the Nordic nations. Erdogan warned Finnish President Sauli Niinisto that a mentality that disregarded terrorist organizations was not in the spirit of alliance, according to Turkey's communications office. To Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson, the office said, Erdogan said Sweden must rescind its support of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, which has fought a separatist insurgency in parts of Turkey for decades. Niinisto described his call with Erdogan as open and direct. He said he told the Turkish president that Finland and Turkey would protect each other's security as NATO allies and have a closer relation. Finland also condemns terrorism, Niinisto said he told Erdogan. Close dialogue continues, the Finnish president wrote. In reference to her call with Erdogan, Andersson said she looked forward to strengthening our bilateral relations, including on peace, security, and the fight against terrorism. Erdogan has voiced concerns about Finland and Sweden joining NATO, among them that they give safe harbor to the PKK. The United States has also designated the PKK a terrorist organization, but has worked with other Kurdish groups fighting the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. Admitting Finland and Sweden to NATO requires the approval of all 30 member states, so Turkey could stop the Nordic nations' accession. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg said Saturday that he spoke with Erdogan about the importance of NATO's open door, which says membership is open to any European nation that can abide by the treaty and contribute to the allies. We agree that the security concerns of all allies must be taken into account and talks need to continue to find a solution, Stoltenberg wrote. Portugal pledges up to $263 million in financial aid to Ukraine. Portugal has pledged to give up to €250 million, or more than $263 million, in financial assistance to Ukraine to help during the Russian invasion, the country's leaders announced Saturday. Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal and Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa signed a memorandum in Kyiv on Saturday. According to Interfax, Shmyhal wrote in a Telegram post that Ukraine is expected to receive up to €100 million, or about $105 million, from Portugal this year. This will help Ukraine maintain macroeconomic stability during the war and allow it to recover faster after a victory, Shmyhal wrote. Thanks to Portugal for this support. Costa tweeted out photos of his meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and emphasized that #Portugal stands unequivocally with #Ukraine and we are committed to further deepen our humanitarian, financial and military. We are all moved by the European choice made by Ukraine and its people and we welcome it with open arms, Costa wrote. Even Morgan Freeman is on the list of Americans banned by Russia. Russia is permanently banning nearly 1,000 Americans, including President Biden and Vice President Harris, from entering the country in response to the United States' support of Ukraine and the historic sanctions facing Moscow nearly 3 months. On Saturday, the Russian Foreign Ministry published the list of 963 Americans barred from entering Russia, a largely symbolic move featuring a wide-ranging collection of Biden administration members, Republicans, tech executives, journalists, lawmakers who have died as citizens and even actor Morgan Freeman. In the context of response to the constantly imposed anti-Russian sanctions by the United States and in connection with incoming requests about the personal composition of our national stop list, the Russian Foreign Ministry publishes a list of American citizens who are permanently banned from entering the Russian Federation. The Russian Foreign Ministry noted in his entry that Freeman made the stop list because in 2017 he recorded a video message accusing Russia of conspiring against the United States and calling for a fight against. Freeman spoke out against Russia in a video from a group that sought to raise awareness about Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. We have been attacked, Freeman said at the time. We are at war.